The dining table was set that evening with an elegance that felt unfamiliar. The ceramic plates, the silver cutlery, the fresh hibiscus flowers at the center, it was as though my parents were preparing to host a stranger rather than share dinner with their only son. I should have known something was wrong. In my 26 years of living under their roof, or rather, orbiting around their expectations, I had learned that my parents never made elaborate efforts without a hidden agenda. But I had been away from home for months, consumed with work and secretly planning a major decision that I knew they wouldn't support. I thought maybe, just maybe, this dinner was their way of softening the rough edges that had grown between us. I was wrong. From the moment I sat down, I noticed the weight of their glances. My mother, dressed in her favorite blue wrapper, kept smiling too much, as if the evening was a performance. My father, a man whose voice had the sharpness of a judge delivering a sentence, cleared his throat at least 3 times before finally speaking. "Chuka, my son," he began, his tone calm but carrying an undercurrent of authority. "We are so glad you came home tonight. Your mother and I have been praying about this. God has shown us a way, and we need your support." My stomach tightened. That phrase, "we need your support," was the red flag I had learned to fear since childhood. It usually meant money, sacrifice, or surrendering my own dreams. "What's this about?" I asked cautiously, picking up my fork though my appetite was gone. That was when my mother slid a brown envelope across the table. It landed in front of me like a brick. I opened it, and my heart sank immediately. Inside were neatly printed loan papers, stamped and highlighted in blue ink. The figure at the top mocked me with its boldness: $40,000. "We have found an opportunity," my father continued, his eyes bright with the fire of ambition. "A business investment that will change everything for our family. Your cousin introduced us to a man in Abuja who guarantees a triple return in less than 2 years. But we need collateral, your signature, your income statement, and your commitment. You're the one with a stable job. You can carry this for us." I stared at them, stunned. The clinking of utensils from the neighbor's compound drifted faintly into our house, yet here, silence swallowed me whole. $40,000? I repeated slowly. My voice cracked. "Do you have any idea what that means? That's almost 30 million naira. Do you know how long it would take me to repay that if it goes wrong?" "It won't go wrong," my mother insisted quickly, leaning forward. "This is God's blessing. We have prayed. We just need your faith." I wanted to laugh at the irony. Faith, always demanded but never reciprocated. Faith that I would sacrifice again, as I had done all my life. Faith that I would ignore my own plans, my own dreams, because their ambitions mattered more. But this time, I was no longer the obedient boy who bowed to pressure. They didn't know what I knew. They didn't know that, in the depths of my frustration, I had already made a decision that would change everything. A decision that involved a single plane ticket, tucked safely in my bag upstairs. A ticket out of Nigeria. Out of their control. Out of the suffocating weight of expectations. Still, I kept silent for a long moment, letting the weight of the papers burn into me. Memories flooded my mind, of years when they forced me to abandon music to study accounting, of when they borrowed money in my name to fund my younger sister's wedding, of when my father dismissed my dream of starting a tech company as childish fantasies. And now, $40,000. "Chuka, are you listening?" my father pressed, his voice carrying the warning edge I remembered from childhood. "This is not a small matter. We need your cooperation tonight. The documents must be signed tomorrow morning." My pulse quickened. I tried to steady my voice. "And what if I say no?" The atmosphere shifted instantly. My mother's smile faltered. My father's expression hardened, his eyes narrowing like a hunter's sight. "You will not say no," he declared flatly. "This is your family. Your blood. A son who refuses his parents is cursed." His words cut deeper than he knew. Because in that moment, I realized the truth. To them, my worth was transactional. Not love, not pride in who I was, but usefulness. I leaned back, the envelope still open before me. I could almost hear the clock ticking, each second louder than the last. My mind was screaming, torn between confrontation and silence. But then I remembered the ticket. The flight date, only 3 days away. My plan, to finally leave for Canada, where I had secured an offer for a master's program. The savings I had scraped together in secrecy, every naira carefully hidden from their eyes. Suddenly, I felt a calmness wash over me. For once, I held a card they couldn't see. I need time to think, I said finally, pushing the envelope slightly back. My mother reached for my hand, desperation clouding her face. Chuka, please. Don't think too long. We have already given our word. Without you, we will lose this chance. I looked at her hand on mine, soft yet heavy with guilt. I wanted to tell her that this wasn't my responsibility, that their endless chase for wealth had drained us all. But I only nodded vaguely, hiding the storm inside me. That night, lying in my room, I stared at the ceiling fan turning slowly above me. The envelope sat on my desk, accusing me with its presence. My parents thought they had trapped me with duty and fear. But they didn't know that escape was already in motion. Yet, as much as I clung to that relief, doubt crept in. Could I really abandon them? Was I ready for the war that would come once they discovered my secret? Sleep evaded me. My mind kept replaying my father's words, a son who refuses his parents is cursed. But was it truly a curse to choose freedom over manipulation? Or was the curse staying chained forever to their greed? The line between betrayal and survival blurred in my mind. And as the first light of dawn filtered through my window, I knew one thing with chilling clarity: the dinner ambush was only the beginning. The real battle would come when the truth surfaced, that their son had already bought a ticket out of their plans. The next morning, the house felt heavier than usual. My parents moved about in silence, as though words might shatter the fragile hope they were clinging to. The brown envelope was gone from my desk. I had left it downstairs after dinner. I suspected my mother had retrieved it, probably whispering to herself that I would come around. But inside me, the decision was already made. I had one mission: keep my secret intact until my flight. 3 days. That was all I needed. At breakfast, my father's voice was clipped. Have you thought about what we discussed? I chewed my yam slowly, stalling. I'm still considering it. He gave a tight nod, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. He was a man who could smell hesitation from a mile away, and I knew he didn't by my calmness. Later that day, I visited the small cybercafe downtown. I needed to confirm my ticket, check my documents again, and ensure everything was in order. The fluorescent lights buzzed above me as I scrolled through my email. There it was, my confirmation, shining like a beacon of escape. Toronto, Canada. Seat number 23A. Departure, Saturday night. I exhaled, but relief was short-lived. My phone buzzed with a message from my sister, Ada. Chuka, Papa says you are giving him stress. Please don't fight them. Just sign the papers and let peace reign. You know how they can be. I clenched my jaw. Ada was always the peacemaker, but peace in this house was just another word for surrender. I typed back slowly. Ada, I can't do it. Not this time. Her reply came almost immediately. Then prepare yourself. You know Papa won't let this go. That evening, the second ambush arrived. This time, without the flowers or the calm smiles. My father called me into the living room, where both he and my mother were waiting. The envelope sat on the table again, as though mocking me. Chuka, my father began, his voice hard. We raised you. We gave you everything. And now, when we need you, you are hesitating? Are we strangers to you? My mother's eyes brimmed with tears. Do you want to see us humiliated? We have already committed to this man. If we back out now, the whole family will laugh at us. There it was, the real fear. Not poverty, not failure, but shame. The endless obsession with appearances. I swallowed. My hands trembled, but I forced my voice to stay steady. I can't sign those papers. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then, like thunder, my father's palm slammed against the table. Ungrateful child. Do you want to destroy us? Do you want to kill your own parents? The words stabbed me, each accusation sharper than the last. My mother wept quietly beside him, whispering prayers under her breath. But I stood firm. Inside me, something had shifted. For the first time, I felt the strength of choice, even if it tore me apart. I'm sorry, I whispered. But I can't carry this burden. Not anymore. My father's face darkened, his voice shaking with fury. Then you are no son of mine. The words echoed in the room, heavy and final. My heart pounded, but I didn't flinch. Because even as he disowned me, I knew my freedom was already boarding pass away. 3 days. That was all I had to survive. The house was cold on Saturday morning. Not physically, September heat pressed against the walls, but in spirit. My parents had barely spoken to me since the confrontation. Meals passed in silence, their disappointment hanging in the air like smoke from a dying fire. I kept to myself, my bag packed and hidden under the bed. Every document was double-checked: passport, study permit, admission letter, boarding pass. The ticket that had become my lifeline. By afternoon, my father called me once more into the living room. He looked exhausted, but his pride was still iron. The envelope lay there again. Last chance, he said flatly. I met his eyes, calm now. Papa, I'm not signing. For the first time, he didn't raise his voice. He just stared, as though seeing a stranger in his son's body. My mother turned away, muttering, "What kind of child have we raised?" I walked back to my room, heart pounding. That evening, just before sunset, I wheeled my small suitcase quietly to the gate. My father was in his study, my mother in the kitchen. They didn't see me leave. The taxi driver loaded my bag into the boot, and as we drove away, I stared at the compound walls shrinking behind me. I expected guilt to overwhelm me, but instead, I felt something else: grief. Grief for the family bond that had withered into transactions and demands. At the airport, the hum of travelers surrounded me, families hugging, children crying, lovers whispering promises. My hands shook as I handed my boarding pass to the officer. For a moment, I thought I might break down. But then my phone buzzed. A message from Ada. They know you're leaving. Papa is furious. Mama is crying. But I understand. I just want you to be happy. Fly safe, brother. Tears welled in my eyes as I boarded. I took my seat by the window, watching the runway lights flicker against the darkening sky. As the plane roared to life, I closed my eyes and whispered a prayer, not for myself, but for my parents. That someday, they would see me not as a wallet or collateral, but as their son. The wheels lifted, the earth fell away, and with it, the chains of expectation. This story is not about abandoning one's parents, nor about chasing freedom blindly. It is about boundaries, about learning when love becomes manipulation, and when duty is used as a weapon. In many African families, sacrifice is expected, but sacrifice without choice is slavery. Chuka's journey reminds us that loyalty must be mutual, and love cannot thrive in the soil of control. Sometimes, the bravest act of love is to walk away, so that healing, though painful, can begin on both sides.